Good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 10. I'm going to start off with an apology for not posting this yesterday. We had some problems with the rain, knocking out our Wi-Fi, and today it is still a little bit wonky. So hopefully you'll actually be able to see what I'm recording here, but you won't be able to see me this week. So let's go ahead and jump into week 10, double digits, folks. That means we are on the downhill slide towards the end of the semester. This week, your focus is on revising essay number 2, which I will talk about in just a minute. And here are your due dates for the week. Again, this is the last week for conferences, which I'll talk about again in just a second. And then your due dates for the 2 discussion boards and your writing territory. Okay. So as you know, essay number 1, if you were choosing to revise, that was due yesterday. I received about, well over almost half the class decided to revise, so that's great. If you submitted a revision, then this morning I sent you an email saying, got it, just give me about a week or a week and a half. If you did not receive that email, it means I did not receive your revision. So please go ahead and do let me know if you tried to submit something and for whatever reason you think maybe I did not get it. Again, it will take me about a week to a week and a half to turn these around. Once I do, I will be sending you an email and I will be updating the comments in Canvas for you to see. All right, moving on to essay number 2, we are in rough draft / revision mode. I hope to have the rough drafts turned around to you by tomorrow or Thursday at the very latest. As I'm finishing them, they are being released. So it's not like I'm waiting until everybody's is finished at once. Once I have the feedback to you, then I am returning it to you. So do keep an eye on your Canvas grades. You'll see a little score pop up there, which would indicate that I have given feedback on your rough draft. The other thing too that I'm doing is I'm looking at all 3 of your posts from last week in order to kind of evaluate and give you feedback on your rough draft. So I'm looking at your inquiry claims, I'm looking at your roadmap, and I'm kind of using those 2 to kind of look at where you are in your draft and kind of giving you feedback on all 3. So that's why you have not had feedback on those other 2 assignments yet. I'm actually using those, all 3 of them, as I'm looking at your rough draft. So again, I am working through those. You'll see those crop up today, tomorrow, and hopefully, I'm hoping to be done by tomorrow night, but I might need just a few more on Thursday morning. But sorry, with that said, I do have conferences this week. So keep in mind, the conference is a 5-point assignment to meet with me about the essay. I think my tomorrow slots are all booked already, but I have appointments available Thursday and Friday as well, and into next week. Your essay is due on Wednesday with a grace period of Friday. So you do still have some time to meet next week, although that's cutting it pretty close. As we're working on revising, one of the things I want you to kind of keep in mind is to go back and look at your claim, especially if you feel like the bulk of your essay is already written. That's important because we start out with a working claim or kind of like a shitty first draft of a thesis of a claim, and it's going to change depending on what is happening with your essay. So you always want to make sure that you are reading the body of your essay and then going back and rereading your claim to make sure that they are in alignment, right? Oftentimes we forget to revise our thesis. We focus on revising the paper, but really you do need to revise both. So this page is more of just kind of a reminder for you about revising that claim. On this next page is, again, just some basic reminders about revising in general. You know, revising does not necessarily mean editing. It means kind of going back and looking at the organization of your ideas, looking at your key sentences, making sure you have some of the analysis accompanying your evidence, and making sure that you do, in this case, have a counter argument and that you are building your argument from the beginning to the end of your essay. So those just reminders for you. Your first kind of quote unquote assignment for this week is to conduct some research via one of the avenues here that I have embedded in the module. Doing outside research, formal outside research is one of the basic requirements of English 221. And so for this assignment, because you have to have at least one outside source, you do have some opportunity to do some or to use some of the LMC research tools. So this page here is going to kind of walk you through what you will need to do on your discussion board, right? So this page tells you, okay, going into these pages on the videos, just be aware that this is what you are going to have to do on your discussion board. So I wanted to kind of give you that information in advance so you can take notes as you are conducting your research. There are 4 different LMC tools that I would like you to explore. Each of these videos is pretty short, 3 or 4 minutes. Doesn't take you too long. Some of you may have already seen some of these tools in your English 100 class, or if you had another course that required outside research, they may be familiar to you. The first is the LMC library discovery page. The second is the news stream page. Again, this is also something that you can access via the library. I like this one because it pulls from more journalistic sources. The third one here, these are open access journals. For any course that you have requiring peer-reviewed journals, this is probably one of your best places to go to do that kind of research. And then Google Scholar, which many of you are probably already familiar with. Scholar is different than just regular old Google, although sometimes you pull things up in Google Scholar that you don't have access to. You can maybe see the abstract, but you actually have to go through the library to use their full access to get the article. So that's the downside of using Google Scholar. Yes, it's easier, but sometimes you find these great articles only to discover that you don't have access. You haven't paid for it, but the library has. So I actually tend not to use Google Scholar just for that reason. I end up having to double up and it's frustrating. But nevertheless, here are the details for how to use Google Scholar. And then here's the discussion board, right? So the whole purpose of this discussion is to not so much discuss, quote unquote, what you've learned, but to kind of walk through the research process. You know, which tool did you use? How did the process go? How did you establish credibility, right? How do you know that what you're looking at is a viable source? And then how might you use that source, right? Now you might wonder, well, Miller, why didn't you do this before the rough draft? Good question. The reason is because part of revising means re-seeing, and part of re-seeing might mean adding more material, right? Revising, I think, sometimes just gets narrowed down to, I'm going to change a period and a comma and switch my sentence around. But really, revising is bigger than that. It has to do more with ideas and organization and depth. And so this assignment is designed to get you into some more of that depth so that you can go back and add it into your essay. You do have an option to reply to your peers. It is not required for this discussion post. But if you know that someone else is writing on the same topic and you're having a hard time finding evidence, then visit the discussion board. Chances are you might be able to find some more sources. Your second activity for the week is based around this reading, which is actually a video. And it's a video that talks a little bit about social media and free speech. And so if you're writing about social media, I would encourage you to watch the whole thing. But for everyone else, the idea so much here isn't to think about what they're saying about free speech and social media. It's to look at how they're building their argument, right? How are they building their ideas one on top of the other? How are they using rhetorical appeals? How are they addressing the counter argument? They do all of these things in the video. It's embedded here. If you would rather watch it on your own, it will prompt you to open up the LMC library page because this is embedded from the library. So you're going to you can either watch the whole thing or, again, watch the clips that I have highlighted here just so you can kind of get a sense of how that argument is being constructed. Oops. And then your discussion board does have a peer reply in it. And this one, it's going to ask you to kind of summarize and analyze what argument is being made here. So you're going to need to make sure that you kind of are looking at the arguments that you're hearing and then taking just not heavy notes, but a few notes on what you're noticing in terms of those arguments. You don't need direct quotes, but you do need to refer specifically to what you're hearing. The peer replies, again, those are due by Friday. And there's your reminder to post your peer reply. And then writing territory number 10. Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're here. You don't have a mentor skill this week, so you can use any skill from the past 9 weeks, I guess. And if you don't want to use a skill, you don't have to. So mentor skills are optional this week. There isn't one that I'm using. So it's just kind of an open access. Again, welcome to double digits, week 10. Congratulations. So week after next, or not week after next, but next week. Next week, we are starting our final unit of the semester. And we are, well, almost our final unit, our final essay unit, I should say, of the semester. And you're turning in essay 3 at some point. So I know this week is going to be busy. If you need anything, please reach out early and often. I'm here to help support you. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to pop into student hours today, which is Tuesday from 12 to 2 on Zoom. Thursday, which is 9:30 to 11 on Zoom. I'm always available on Pronto, but more immediately on Wednesday nights. Have a great week.